All right, let's turn to Matthew 25 and 14. Matthew 25 and 14. All right. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto the one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he had received the 5 talents, went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise, he that received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. Let's stop right there for right now. You know, I often wondered why the master only gave 1 talent to the last servant. He could have chose to give the servant more than 1 talent. He had plenty of money. It wasn't that. See, the master had plenty of money. He could have gave him 3, 4 talents, no problem. But yet he gave the servant 1 talent. Have you ever wondered why? God spoke to me the other day while I was listening to a preacher on the radio and said he only gave him 1 talent because he didn't expect much from him in the first place. He knew that he would most likely do nothing with the talent he'd been given. And then he said, but he wanted him to use what he had. He wanted him to grow in the Lord, or as the story goes, invest the money and try to get a return on the master's investment. Because whether we realize it or not, that's what God does in our lives. He invests in us. He gives us ability to be used of Him, to preach the gospel, or do whatever God put in your hearts to do. No matter how small it seems in your eyes, you know the thing that God wants from us the most is for us to be obedient to Him. Not a man, not to our bosses, but to Him. As we all heard, obedience is better than sacrifice, because you can sacrifice all this world's goods and sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and yet not be obedient to the Lord, and it's all for nothing. All right, let's go to 1 Samuel 15 and 22. And y'all there? And Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. In a business, they don't invest in something unless they think they're going to get a return on their investment. It'd be foolish to do so, but they invest in something they feel will be a sure bet. You know, I hope that I'm a great investment opportunity for God, because it can go either one way or the other. Either you can be a great investment or you can be a waste of time and a waste of effort in our eyes, not in God's eyes. I know that's different, but sometimes we're not trusted with very much because we haven't been faithful in what God has already given us. We must do what God has entrusted us to do. Trust me, sometimes I haven't done what God wanted me to do. A lot of the reason I haven't done what I was supposed to do was fear of being accepted, because I didn't, I know I didn't conform to what most men thought a preacher should be. But with God's help, I'll continue to grow and do what He has me to do. But as in this parable, the man that was given 1 talent buried it. To me, that's like a man that's being called to do something for God and him not doing it at all. Him putting it off and bursting it under the rug, because when it's all said and done and they stand before the judgment throne of God and He asks them what they done with their talent, they got to answer truthfully. And in whatever God has given you the ability to do, it's just like playing an instrument. You won't get any better unless you practice. You can look at that instrument, you can listen to other people play an instrument, but it's not going to make you any better unless you get on that instrument and try and practice. It's not always easy, and sometimes you don't feel like doing it. But if you're persistent, you can become everything you're meant to be. A lot of times in life and in callings of God, it's easier to go with the flow, to just let everyone else do what they have been called to do. But you will be judged on what you're supposed to do, not anybody else. All right, let's go to Matthew 25 again and go 19 through 30 is what I got here. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. And behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he that which received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strewn. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I soweth not, and gathered where I have not strewn. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. From him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. the servant, where it says that, you know, if he could at least gave it to the exchangers and got interest on his money, in other words, he didn't have enough gumption to go to the bank and put it in the bank. He just went behind his house and dug a hole and buried it. All right, let's read the rest of this, Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. And he that separateth one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, or and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, insomuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. Then shall he say unto all them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepare for the devil and his angels. You know, that's kind of harsh words, but I mean, that's just one story in the Bible, you know, where God gives you something to do and you sit on it and you're not willing to do it for God. You'll not be called one of his at the end. If you don't do what you're supposed to do for God, no matter how much you pray, no matter how much you talk to God, no matter how much you do the little things and do just enough to be saved, you may not make it because you're supposed to do what God gave you to do. You know, many times me as a preacher, I didn't want to do it because, you know, sometimes men's traditions can get in the way and hinder somebody because they don't agree just like everybody else. And unfortunately, that held me back for years. You know, I probably should have been preaching for 10 years by now, but I put it off and put it off. But I thank God that he's given me the ability at least to get up here and do what I can. You know, it may not be much. I might not touch very many people. But if I can touch one person for God, I've done what I was supposed to do. You know, if I would have stayed in that back pew and not ever preached and tried my best and lived my best and got that throne seat, he could have said to me the same thing, Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. You know, it's important that no matter what God has called you to do, if God has called you to play an instrument, as God has called you to sing, as God, you know, called you to preach, has God called you to teach somebody, has God called you to be a witness to other people, it don't matter how little it may seem to you, it's big in God's eyes. You know, it's easy to sit on the seat of do nothing and not do anything for God. I've done it for years. You know, I played my instrument, I sung my song, and I sat down. I played another instrument, sung a song, and sat down. But sometimes we got to get out of our seat of do nothing, the seat that's comfortable, that seems like everything's right like it should be, and step out and do what we know that God has called us to do, no matter how hard it is. You know, that's like I preached in a message not too long ago. I'm not a type A personality. I don't like being in front of people. I don't like people's attention being on me. But, you know, I just want to be able to take that attention and put it on God. Because me within myself, I know I'm nothing. If you ever think that you're anything without God, you got a problem with pride. It don't matter how good you may look to other people. It no matter how eloquently you speak. If you're doing it for yourself, God gave me a message, and I'm sure one day I'll preach it, but I'm still getting it together. Is it righteousness or self-righteousness? Righteousness speaks to doing something for God. Self-righteousness speaks to doing something to make yourself look good. Are you running around that church to look good for everybody else? Are you shouting down the aisle because you want to look good for everybody else? Are you praying or praying aloud because you want to look good to somebody else? Or are you praying to God? It don't matter how you look to somebody else. Sometimes praying to God will make you look crazy. Sometimes praying to God, your hair will be a mess, your face will be a mess, you'll be snotting and everything else, but it's unto God. Many times you see some of these people that get in the spirit and they look good. But sometimes that's all it is, their own spirit, their self-righteous spirit. I didn't mean to get off on that, but it is the truth. Sometimes that self-righteous spirit will get in the church, and you'll see this one do that and this one do that, and they all look like they're holy, but sometimes it's self-righteousness. We need to be careful what we entertain as righteousness, as holiness, as the Spirit of God, because sometimes the Spirit of God is confused with self-righteousness. Yeah. Lord have mercy. Sometimes I've been in churches and you can tell, you can feel the Spirit on somebody when they get up and they shout and they dance and they speak in tongues or whatever else. The devil can speak in tongues. It is not just God that can speak in tongues. The devil can transform himself into an angel of the light. And if you don't know the difference in the Spirit, you can be deceived. It states in the Bible, even the very elect could be deceived. I don't call myself elect. I don't claim to be elect. But I pray to God that I'm never deceived by somebody that's got a lying tongue, that's got a deceitful speech. Many people, they want to hear what they want, they want to hear what makes them feel better about themselves. They want to hear what sounds good to their ears. But sometimes we need to hear what is not sounding good to our ears. Sometimes we need to get a word of retribution for what we're doing because it's wrong. And I really did not plan to give any words of retribution, but sometimes you got to do just whatever God tells you to do. Self-righteousness will get you in trouble. Self-righteousness will get you in a path, in a place that takes you too far, that you think that everything you're doing is correct, but it's not. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. I need to look at myself in the mirror and make sure I'm not doing it for my glory. You can do anything for your glory. You can be an awesome musician. You can be an awesome singer. You can be an awesome actor or drafter or whatever you do for a living, and it all be for yourself. You can get up here and play a song and it sound like an angel, but if it's not for God, you might as well not do it. As far as I'm concerned, you can stay on the pew. Lord help me. All right, let's end it right there. I thank y'all for listening to us, and if you have any questions, let us know. God bless y'all.